Well, very warm welcome to everybody. Welcome to the Faculty of Science, College of Humanities and Sciences. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Chu Fook Tim. I am the Associate Professor at the Department of Biological Science, so I teach life sciences. So if you are from life science, yay. No, but since you're all from science, yay to all of you too. Okay, so today I want to, together with my Associate Dean, Dr. Ng, I want to go through with you the registration, the things that you need to know, and so forth. So listen very carefully, for this part of the talk. I will go not too fast, right, so that you get sure. And again, if you're not sure about anything, please feel free to approach us personally or even our staff, all right? So let me get started. NUS in general is a very modular system. You already know that, right? Every semester you take about 5 courses. 5 is about the average. We always take 6 sometimes, 4 if you think you don't want to handle so many at one go or you have overloaded. Now I want to just show you a few things today. For example, you know, all your courses have got some number in front. This is PC. PC has a code, means it's for physics, for example. So the first few letters are always about whether this is from what major and so forth. LSM is the life science ones and so forth, right? But you also will see there's not just a series of numbers. There is a meaning in the number, yeah? The first number 3, for example, is what we call a level 3 course, which means technically they tend to be for the 3rd years and so forth. The number 1 would be the level 1000, which means they are mostly for the freshmen and so forth. But it doesn't mean, let's get this out of the way. So, doesn't mean if you're a freshman you cannot take a level 2, and so on. There's no restriction. You want to go a little bit faster, you want to go a little bit lower, you can. Okay? So that's the first number. The second number also has a meaning, by the way. It's not just, okay, this is 3,000, but then after that, this is the 100, and Dean said we got 1,000 courses, so we just number 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Actually, the second number, if the second number is 1, it's probably a compulsory course for your major. Right? If the second number is a 1, you most likely know that this is a compulsory course. If the second number is 2, it means this is an elective course. It's a major course, but it is one of those that you can choose from in a whole list. If the number is 3 or 4, then it is actually just maybe the sequence of the course, right? You can take any of them. So there is a meaning to this. And each of these courses, right, most of our courses, we have what we call units. You will acquire 4 units for most of the courses. So, for example, if you take 5 courses per semester, that semester you will have 5 times 4 units, which means you have 20 units of things that you have already acquired. In your 4 years, you will do your degree in 8 semesters. On the average, if you do 8 semesters times 5, okay, do your mathematics here. 8 times 5, that's 40 courses. 40 courses times 4 units, that's 160 units. Usually for all of you, your degree will be about 160 units. Yeah? But again, let me just mention this, A lot of us think we are all very quiet, 160 units means we must only do nice, sit properly, 160 units. No. If you want, 160 units is the minimum, usually. If you have so desire, don't worry, you can take 164, 168, 172. And if you do it within the courses or the semesters, here's the secret. NUS will not charge you $1 extra even. Okay? So Don't be so worried about, oh, if I take extra. You know, this is not the same. It's not the same if you go overseas. Every single unit extra you take, they will, poof, your bill will come. In NUS, you'll be paying a standard semester fee. That standard semester fee. Okay, but while I say that, please don't now everybody go and take 8 courses, yeah? And then after that, you overload. Then after that, Prof. Chen Sushin will come and tell me, why you ask people to take 8 courses? Now he's got too many people seeing him for issues. Let me just give you some balance, all right? Normally, if we give you 4 units per course, the normal expectation, normal, is you spend 2.5 hours per unit. So if it's a course of 4 units, you're expected to spend about 10 hours of work. Now, of course, 10 hours of work is the average. Some people very smart, very fast, do things very easy. Okay, it's between maybe 8, 7. Whereas others take their time to do it, you may have to spend a bit more time. That really depends on you. But on the average, you are expected to spend about 10 hours. What does that 10 hours mean per course, per 4 units? It means what? It means maybe you have to attend lectures, 1 or 2 lectures, 2 hours each. That's 4 hours already. Then maybe you have 1 or 2 tutorials. That's another 1 hour there. Then after that, does it mean that you have to go and do many more things before? No. It means that the remaining few hours is actually your own time. Maybe you need time to do revision. You need time to do your homework. You need time to read up your reading. So that's your time that you take alone, okay? So that's what this 10 hours means. But actually the real contact time that you actually have with your lecture or tutorial may be only about, say, half of it. And of course, if you have a lab, you probably have to spend a little bit more time. Yeah? So this is what it means. So on the average, please learn to understand your own self. Don't try to be a superhero, to overload quickly. And by the way, Prof. Chen mentioned, right, we have what we call grade-free year, where you can, what we call SU, your grades in the first year, so that you try to come in, don't be so afraid about your grades, okay? So that's what we are trying to do here. So let me just make sure you are clear about these things. You're all coming in as a 4-year degree potential student. Again, let me put it out there. I hope all of you will finish in 4 years. Some of you, you want to do it faster, you can. Maybe some of you got advanced standing because you are coming in from a poly and you are given the 20 units extra as advanced standing, and you want to take it, you can take it. But if you don't want, it's okay. You can do all 4 years, okay? So 4 years is the norm. In fact, more than 90% of our students will graduate within the 4 years. Some of you, however, will finish faster. Some, 3.5. Some may say, I want to take a little bit longer, 4.5. It is not a problem, okay? So this is why I say you should always make sure you understand yourself. Don't be, this is my schedule, or my friend is finishing, or I should also finish. No. Understand your own self and pace yourself along. But don't go and purposely take 8 years, 7 years. That will be taking too long now, of course. Yeah? All right, so understand this. This is the normal 4 years you are taking. This includes all of you from CHS, those who are taking the pharmacy course, and so forth. But let me just mention the course requirements now. When I say 40 courses, 5 semester, and so forth, this is for the pharmacy people. I have some pharmacy people here too. So for you, you will have very heavy major requirement because this is a professional degree. And then, of course, you still have general education and some unrestricted electives, okay? Whereas For the pharmacy people, you will have to do the common curriculum that is actually for healthcare professionals. For the rest of you who are in CHS, this is your structure. For the rest of you, you have a common curriculum, and then a major requirement, and of course, unrestricted electives. This unrestricted electives, I guess, is what you can use it for anything, right? And I will explain this briefly to you, or I presume many of you heard this before. But let me talk about the common curriculum here, this part. This will probably be many of the first few things you will be doing. This common curriculum includes a lot of these core things that you all will be asked to do, writing, design thinking, and all these things, as well as some integrated courses, and then the interdisciplinary courses, which you can decide to take maybe even later in your third year or fourth year, okay? These, many of them we will allocate to you so that you get to clear them very quickly. And then my associate dean will discuss with you afterwards what are those that are going to be allocated to you, okay? Now, very many of you already would have been in or decided that you are going to take a residential college, stay in NUS college, or maybe you will actually also be in a special program in science, or RVRC, which is the college. Then you'll be asking, if I stay in those and take those courses in the colleges or RCRV, how would I then count them towards my common curriculum? Well, we have already made sure every one of these things that you're taking there somehow will be mapped and counted to one of the common curriculum. What it means is you don't have to double take again, right? One example, just to give you an example, if you're in a special program in science, these are the courses that you will be taking in special program in science. If you take this course, this was automatically counted under the digital literacy. You don't have to take the CHS digital literacy. But if you're not sure, please come and ask your program. This is how you will, at the end of the day, only take one set of common curriculum. Now, let me also mention another thing. Some of you may already be thinking, what happens if I want to do a double degree? And this double degree I want to do is not just between science and arts. I want to do a double degree with science and the College of Design and Engineering, CDE. Do you know you can? Do you know you can, even though you are admitted to science and CHS now? And if you wanted to do that, you will be taking a CHS common curriculum, but there are what we call mapping between the CHS and the CDE. So some of you, for example, I'll give you an example, yeah? Some of you are in, say, life science, and you want to do a second degree in bioengineering as well. Then you'll be wondering, ayo, must do two common curriculum, one from CHS, one from CDE. No. If you've been offered to do the CHS one, you do the CHS one, but there are some mapping, right? This mapping means you have to see which one you want to take from CHS and which one you should take from CDE. Now, if you are unsure about any of these details, please, as usual, come and ask us or ask any of our administrators, and we'll point you. Most of them are in the website already as well. But it's always good to double check that, okay? So I want you to be actually aware of all these things so that you have the opportunity to explore and expand your horizons as well. So as Dean mentioned, yeah, the opportunities in NUS are great. You can now consider doing a major in science and maybe a contrasting major even in FASS. If you do that, you can consider a double major or double degree. However, if you don't want it to be a double degree, you could also say, okay, I'll just do a primary major in science and maybe a second major anywhere else. Second major is smaller, yeah? A primary major is about 15 courses. A second major maybe is only 10. Okay? And where do the 10 come from? The 10 actually will go into your unrestricted electives space. All right? So these possibilities are there. Now, you can see you can actually use your unrestricted elective space for many things, and at the end of the day, you still will graduate, and all within the same 160 plus or 4 years. Let me just now show you, I'm sure you have heard this before as well, but let me show you how many of your seniors are actually doing this. So this is not something we just do and then after that nobody does it. Double degree, right from the onset. The first year of people and the second year of people, these two, when they first admitted, immediately we have already about 60 over people who declare they want to do a double because these are upfront, they get admitted, all right? What are they doing? These are the combinations that they are doing. You see, quite a varied combination, right? These are your seniors, by the way. Right at admissions, they want to do this already, right? But this is not that big. Let me show you another group. But before I go to the other group that do a double major instead of a double degree, I just want to show you that if you want to do a double degree, there are two ways to do it. You take the structured one, where we already offered you a combination, or after a while, you may not say, hey, this structured one I didn't see in my prospectus, the university never offered me, but actually I want to do something like that. You could design your own one. And if you design your own one, it is a combination that you may want to do yourself. Something that we did not upfront offer you, but something that you are interested in. You know what? The way you can do this is you take it one step at a time. I'll give you an example. If I want to do a double degree eventually in, say, life science and maybe psychology. And it's a very popular combination, yeah? Life science and psychology. But you don't have to straight away go and say, I want to do that. You do it one step at a time. You do life science because you're in a science major now. And then you decide, let me try psychology gateway as well. Oh, I can handle it. I can take this too. Okay, let me try to take the minor in psychology as well. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is take it one step at a time first. Do your first major in life science. Try the minor in psychology. And you say, hey, I really enjoy the combination. I want to do more. Let's do life science, psychology. Instead of just doing the minor, I will expand it to a second major. And towards the third year already, you say, you know what? I can do it all the way. Let's do it all the way. And I declare then, I want to do my second degree instead. So I will tell you to do it stepwise. Try it first. Take the gateway. You can do that. Let's expand it to the minor. You can handle the minor. I really enjoy doing this. Let's do a double major. And if you think after a while, I can finish this lah. Okay, let's do the double degree. Okay? However, the university is flexible enough for you to do this where you say, I want to do the double degree, but then suddenly something happened, something changed in your fourth year, you suddenly found a new interest, or maybe you got too busy because you got a new girlfriend or something. Oh, sorry, I didn't say that. And then you say, okay lah, I just settled with I committed to a double degree, but I can make it to a second major lah. I just want to finish. It is okay. Don't be pressured, yeah? Don't be pressured, I did this already, I must finish it. Of course, I would love for you to, if you have started something, complete it. Complete it. But nevertheless, it is not something that we will force you to say, you must complete or not. You cannot graduate. Okay? So this is what I want you to realize. You take your life, your plans, your direction into your own hands. The university gives you this opportunity now. You make that decision. Okay? Now, let me just show you. This is the normal thing that most people do. You have about 8 consecutive semesters. And if you are double degree, actually we count up to even 10. If you want to take 5 years to finish it, you can. Most people will finish it actually less than 5 years, 4.5. Some maybe even directly 4. Okay? How would you do that? Especially if you have a major like life science and then you do psychology where, you know what, there's such a thing called overlapping. Something in psychology you take can also count in life science and vice versa. These are what we call overlapping courses. Now, you find those, you double count. Such double counting can be allowed. Okay? You will learn all this as you go along. So I'm just giving you some of these little tips, tricks, and stories from the seniors so that you are aware. Hey, how come nobody told me all this? But you are aware now. Slowly, you will find out more. Okay? Now, when do you do this? A student can declare the intent to enroll in a double degree, like I said, not exactly right on the spot here, but you can actually do it just after you complete about 60 units or about 80 units. Okay? Which means, don't rush. Make sure you understand what you want to do first. And then later you double degree, declare it if you want. But you speak to us. But of course, we have some criteria. You must maintain a GPA of 4 so that we know that actually you're not just taking it because you want to take it. You can manage it as well. So we have that threshold there to make sure that actually you're doing this, but you can manage this as well. So at this point, let me just make sure you understand things. Very important. 4 years degree, 160 units, doesn't mean you can only do 160, yeah? Don't be bound by that number. That's the first summary I want you to realize. Second thing, if you want to do a second degree, second major, most of this will come under your unrestricted elective space. Yeah? If you want to do that. Now, I've been talking about second degree and then later on second major. Some of you may say, actually, I don't want to do all that. I heard all this before. I want to go to graduate school. I want to be a physicist. I want to be a quantum physicist. And I want to learn all I can about this. This is what the dean is talking about as a deep specialist. Actually, the university's curriculum is so flexible that, you know what, if you want to do that, you can take your whole major, 15 courses in physics, and even your whole unrestricted elective, another 12 courses there that you can take anywhere, right? You can take all of that in physics as well if you want. In fact, you could have taken all your major and unrestricted elective in physics, and nobody is going to stop you. That's what we call the deep specialist. You just want to focus and you feel you want to take some of these, expand more in your skill area, or sometimes even, you know what, I'm so good, I can take some of the graduate module, the level 5,000 modules. Actually, it's possible. So you now begin to get a sense of what this university is about, yeah? This university is not about just follow what I tell you. You have to make some choices, but the choices are for you, and you decide. Nevertheless, this can be quite daunting, yeah? When it's so daunting, you need advice, you need help. That's why That's why Prof. Chen just now said, there's a lot of people you can talk to, yeah? The first group of people that you always get advice from, and I know this, yeah, are your seniors. Your seniors will tell you a lot of things. And some of them, they will give you good advice. But not all the time their advice is correct. Just be careful. So, get them from your lecturers. If not, come to talk to us. Come to talk to my team and myself. My doors are always open. Okay? So, this is what I want. Now, let me just show you real statistics so that I don't want you to just think that I'm just telling you, okay, but then nobody does it. How many of your seniors actually did it? This is the first 2020. These people are in your third year now. This is the people in the second year now. You are the ones coming in your first year now. Let's see whether this is the kind of numbers. How many of your third year people now, your seniors, are actually doing a second major? Look at this. Those who are science primary major, about a quarter of them. About a quarter. 1 in every 4 science students now in their third year is a double major, heading for a double major. Okay, FASS got a bit more, slightly. Then, the other cohort is about the same too, right? Now, the thing is, let me just show you, what are they doing? What kind of science second major? They all have all the primary major in physics, life science, chemistry, and all that. But what are they doing as a second major? This is the most popular second major. Right? Just to orientate you, this is the third year people, this is the second year people, your seniors. The orange color is the science primary major, the blue color is the arts primary major. So these third year students now, the number 1 second major they are is data analytics. And data analytics is very, very popular. This is, and even the FASS, the art students are taking data analytics as well. Right? What about the other side? Our science students are also taking arts majors as a second major? Yes, look at this. What is the number 1 second major for the third year? Economics. Look at this. Right? The orange color are science major primary, but many of them are taking economics as a second major. And then what else are they taking? You can see they're taking new major, psychology, and so on. Yeah? So this is not something that is just, oh, we can let you have, but actually your seniors are actually doing it. You can see which one are the more popular ones that they're doing. Now, just because they are the more popular doesn't mean your cohort or you will follow them, yeah? You do what you want to do as well. Okay? Let me just show you the next one. What about, I show you those who are already doing the double degree, those who are doing the second major. Let me tell you how many of them are doing a minor as well. This is the number. Science major, this is the third year students. 40% of them, maybe over and above those who are doing this. In other words, 2 out of every 5 of your third year seniors are actually doing some other thing with their unrestricted electives. Okay? Now you get the picture now, right? And let me show you what is the most popular one again. Wow, look at this. Quantitative finance is a very popular second, a minor. Bioinformatics, okay, data analytics. So I think this is actually very good because your seniors are actually very in tune to what are the skills that they are that will be useful for them and build upon their primary major as well. Okay? So now you get the picture of what I'm trying to show you here. Now, of course, this is also some of us taking the arts ones. Yeah, these are the most common arts ones. And you can see the whole lot of them. Okay, but let me show you, ask you a most famous question. Let me ask you a most famous question. Do you know there are 20%, yeah, afterwards I'll show you later on, there are 20% of our CHS cohort, both in the arts and science, are pursuing a minor in languages. A language minor. Guess what is the most popular language? Anyone guess what's the most popular language minor that our CHS students are taking? Anyone? Japanese? Korean. Korean is the second, is the minor that a lot of our students are doing. And I think it has to do with, okay, maybe the K-pop or whatever, or the K-dramas and things like that, right? But part of it also is people wanting to do what they call, they want to go overseas for their exchange. They're making preparations as well, right? Okay, now I do want to show you something else. Shh. Okay, let me just mention this. You talked about minor just now and how many people, what other people are taking in the minor. But some of you want to do, like I said, you're a deep specialist, you want to specialize in your own field. A minor is 20 units, which is basically 5 courses. You take it in your unrestricted elective. But actually a specialization, what does a specialization mean? A specialization is basically also 20 units, 5 courses, but usually within your major, but at the higher level, right? So a specialization is almost like a minor, but it's a higher level minor in your own field. Take, for example, life sciences, yeah? And you can see afterwards I show you the list of my specialization. Some of you will say, I want to take a major in life science, but actually I do want to do more in life science. And I want to focus in on one area. I want to be a specialization in biomedical science. You can. You can. So in your unrestricted elective, you take the specializations, and these are usually at the higher level, level 4,000 with your projects and so forth. All right? So this gives you a flavor of what you can begin to do in the university already. Now, let me bring you back down to earth, yeah? You now see, wow, suddenly I'm so excited, I've got so many potential, so many options, so many things I can do. But you have to be careful. You cannot game the system where you try to take all the easy courses only, or the level 1,000 or level 1 courses, because if you take too many level 1,000 courses, that there is a limit for which you cannot take. You can only take up to 60 units of level 1,000. If you end up more than 60 units of level 1,000, they will count in your grade, but they will not count in your units. So if you've taken, say, 8 units more, you may have finished with 168. The grades that you've taken will count, but the units will not count. So be careful about this. Be wary about not overtaking too many 1,000 units, yeah? But of course, we will exclude some of these things in the calculation because some of these are enrichments, so we won't count them, okay? So just be careful about this. Now, in your 4-year journey here, I told you mostly all the academic stuff, right? Prof. Chen told you all the fun stuff. I have to be the bad guy, tell you all the things you have to study for, and all that. But you know what? I want to also show you studying can also be fun. We have many of you going for study abroad, and I want to show you, you can already begin to think about study abroad, maybe for your 2nd year or your 3rd year in particular. Or if you're interested, you can take those that are even more, like the joint degrees or the concurrent degrees and so forth. Those that are specific like this, the veterinary medicine one, join the life science talk and they will tell you, ask them, okay? Now, beyond these structured programs, I want to show you we have 300 partner universities across the world. 300. Every year, I will be sending, every cohort, by the way, I'll be sending about 300 to 400 of you overseas. Yeah? 300 to 400 of you will get to go for study abroad once a whole semester. 300 different places. Now, listen very carefully. I'm going to tell you a secret. Some of these are very popular, like, oh, everybody wants to go to UC Berkeley, UC Los Angeles. All the UCs are very popular. But the secret is this. You want to go there, you die want to go, you can apply, okay? Go to UC. But you are given 5 or 4 choices. The number one choice, okay, you put the one you really want. But the other choices, try to put something that is no one else wants to go. But actually, those that no one wants to go are actually very nice. Some of you never been to Eastern Europe before. They teach in English, by the way. Try those. Some of you say, okay, maybe I don't want to try those. I put my first choice there. But you know what? Maybe I will go to China, Taiwan. That's also quite interesting, right? Put in those. Those are less popular, less competition. If you are the only one who say, I want to go to Poland, and nobody wants to go, we will let you go. We will let you go. Okay? And actually, you know what? We will be very transparent. We are going to be so transparent that we will tell you which one not yet taken. Those that are not yet taken, you put those, and there's no one else who wants it, we let you go. We have 300 partners. And actually, okay, that's another secret. Let me tell you another secret. Shh. Okay, what's the second secret? You go for SCP, your SCP is grade free. Over and above your SU. In other words, the idea of SCP is go there, learn something new. Don't be so worried about whether I must finish this or this. Go there, get the units back. You get the grades back also, but it's okay. But get the units back. But the grades are not counted. The units are counted. And one more thing. Prof. Cheng just told you another big secret just now. This name you must remember. This is called SSOEF. What does SSOEF stand for? Science Student Overseas Exposure Fund. At Science, we want to level the playing field for everybody. If you feel you want to go, you have a strong desire to go, but you know what? You're inhibited because maybe my parents cannot afford it. Some of this is going to cost me a bit. In Science, we have a Science Student Overseas Exposure Fund, where if you feel you want to go, you have a strong desire to go, you want to be exposed, but you know what? I'm inhibited because of the cost of it. The Science Student Fund will come in, apply for it. We will go by what we call per capita income. If you are one of those with the lowest per capita income, more than even up to 60, 70, 80% of the costs may be covered. Right? Of course, it will be given a different gradient. So I want to encourage you to now think about your development and not be inhibited by maybe my parents cannot afford this. Okay? So this is what we are trying to do here, to expose you to be global citizens. Okay? So yeah, you can see they all happy faces, right? They all really have a lot of good time there. And every year we have students coming in back and say, the number one thing that changed my life was learning how to live by myself. No need to go back. Mother there already had the dinner ready and everything. This is life-changing for very many people. So, again, however, there's always some rules here. Don't contravene the rules. Don't be too excited and say, I go for this, I go for that, I go for everything, and then after you realize, hey, you're having a degree from NUS lah. Your degree must come from NUS, so you must study at least in NUS, right? So you should have what we call 50% of your degree requirements at least, or at least 60% of your major requirement must be completed in residence, in NUS itself, right? So this is something you just have to be careful, all right? Similarly, there are many things you want to do that we won't force you to do, but you have the opportunity to do. Research. I will tell you, this is what most science students, I'm a life scientist, I will tell you the life of a life scientist. First year, they take the general courses, the curriculum courses. Then very early already, by the first year, end of first year, they are already thinking, you know what? I've never really done real research. And this is what I want to do, one-to-one, professor to you alone. And the project is yours. It's not like going to the lab where you have a lab practical. Yeah? No, this project is your practical, your own project. And I just put some of the names here. This, wow, very chim names. Some of them I don't even know how to do one. These are actual projects of our students. Every year, science have 300 to 400 projects. And actually, you know what? Most of these, the professors, you think, all of you will be waiting for the professor to say, this is my project, you come and take this project. No. Most of the projects, they don't even offer. What do? You are interested in Europe, you just go to the professor, you saw his website, you knock on his door. Prof. Chua, I took your module. I'd like to talk about what you do. Can I talk to you about maybe doing a project with you? I haven't anything in mind yet, but I like the kind of things you do. Can I learn from you or something like that? And the professor will mostly, oh, come. You want to have some tea with me? Most professors are like that. 90% of them will be like that. You just talk about their research, they'll open the door. Then after that, you have that discussion with them. And that's how the ideas, they will also ask you, what you want to learn? What do you want to do? This is in Cambridge and in Oxford, yeah. In Oxford and Cambridge, they pride themselves in one thing. Oxford and Cambridge is very good universities, right? They pride themselves in one thing. They say, all students, they all go to lecture. In Cambridge, Oxford, they also go for lecture. All students will also have some tutorial and lab. Every university also like that. But in Cambridge and in Oxford, do you know what? We pride ourselves in what we call one-to-one tutorials. Every student will go through one-to-one tutorials. And because of that, they charge you an arm and a leg. The fees are 10 times more than everyone else. You want to have that? You want to have that here? This is the opportunity. This, you have one-to-one. Every week, if you want, most of the time, the professor will give you cha and tea or whatever and discuss about the work that you do. One-to-one. This is your project. And very often, the professors will also say, you know what? Wow, this is excellent work. Let's publish this. I have people in my third year, fourth year, writing really good scientific papers already, before they graduate. So this is really an opportunity, and I want you to really consider this. As a student coming across, you may say, oh wow, I've got so many things to do. Think about it. Just put yourself out there. At the end of the Europe project, you can make your decision. Two things you can decide. The first thing you can decide is, wow, research is really for me. I love the life of doing this. Or, gosh, this semester was the toughest semester I ever had. I have to run to class, take the exam, do research. I think not now. Maybe research is not for me. But Either way you do this, either whether you decide that I think I found my thing, I found my niche, I found research is for me, this is what I want to do for life, or, okay, I tried it, maybe this is not my cup of tea. Either way, the outcome is good, because now you know what you want or what you don't want. And if you know what you want and know what you don't want, it is a good thing. Right? So that you, rather than go through the 4 years and figure out that, 4 years in university already, I still don't know what I want to do. But at least you say, okay, I tried research, it's not my cup of tea, it's okay. And then don't be so afraid of, okay, will I fail, will I do this? Most professors are pretty good, pretty nice. They will help you along. Right? So the attraction of this, I'm spending some time to do this, is the attraction of this is because you have that one-to-one with the professors. And that's the best way to get them to write you a reference letter. Right? Most professors will write a superb long reference letter if you work for them for the whole semester or two as well. Now, you may say, okay, maybe I already know research is not for me. I try something else. I go for internships. I just told you, right, SEP, I've got 300 partner universities all over the world. Internships, my colleagues from CFG is here. They have a talent connect. If you didn't know, NUS has a special thing called NUS Talent Connect. Only you can log in, yeah? No one else can log in, right? Yeah, okay. Only you all can log in. And in there, if you just say, I want to search for internship, they are, on the average, I don't know, the last time I was with them, I found out that they, at any one time, they have between 300 to 500 science-specific internships available. I had one time told some people, oh, you know what? I want to give your students internship, but can you guarantee me that I will get this student or that student? Can you do that? I said, no. My students are very in demand. My students very in demand. Yeah. So you put your offers there. You have to, however, be hungry. You don't just want to say, okay, yeah, I got so many internships, I'm sure to get one. No. You have to be hungry. That's why our colleagues from CFG is there to help you. How to market yourself, how to position yourself, how to prepare yourself in advance. Right? So this is what you're in for when you come to NUS. You don't just come to class, go to lecture, go home, take exam. Many things you can do. Okay? Let me just tell you how many. Again, I always tell people, I don't like to just tell you, I tell you the real story. This is how many of your students, of your seniors who were graduated in 2021, when they graduated, how many of them have done an internship within 4 years? 70% have taken an internship one way or another. Of the 70%, a third of them has taken one internship. Many have taken 2, 3, or even 4 internships. So this is your seniors. You tell me, can it be done? Yes, it can. They are doing it. And lastly, just want to show you, why are they doing this? They know themselves. That's why I say the best advice you can get is sometimes a lot from them, from the seniors, but again, take it with a pinch of salt, yeah. But your seniors know what predicts securing full-time jobs. My CFG colleagues, the Center for Future Ready Graduates, tell me that students who go for internship, about a third or more will on the spot get offered by the internship company that, hey, you know, when you graduate, can you come back? I'd like to offer you a job. That's how the internship gives you the network and all that. And it doesn't surprise me that when we do the analysis, what predicts securing a full-time job compared to just not securing or having a temporary job? Okay, maybe gender. Now, part of it is probably, NS boys, they got experience and all that. The second one is, okay, you still have to do well, CAP, the GPA. GPA is very important. You do well, people want you. Double degrees, double honors, and so forth. But look at this. Internship experience is also a very significant relationship. But other experiential learning, other experiential includes spending time overseas, doing a Europes, doing a research project, and other things. All these seem to show some degree of significance, right? And we didn't tell them, we just said, you know yourself after a while. You will get smarter over when you go to second year, third year, fourth year. And you know, your seniors will tell you, you know what, this is what you should do. And this is the result at the end of the day. We just analyze, okay? So, I told you, right, somehow people still see some grade, but you know what? Grade is not everything. It's still important, do well, don't do badly. But I want to show you something very significant about this thing about grades, yeah? If you just look at permanent jobs, yes. But if you look at salaries, it doesn't mean always the first class and all that will get the highest salary. Yeah? Doesn't all the time. And also, there's also anomaly. The first class people, most of the time also, maybe they don't want a job. They want to go for graduate school. That will also change the data a little bit. Okay? So, how to make sure you at least maintain some of these? This is, when you graduate, this is your highest distinction, you get a GPA of 4.5, and so on. Now, how will you do this calculation? Every module you will get a grade if you don't SU it, right? And every grade like this, you get a grade point, 5, 4.5, whatever. So you have 4 units. So if all your grades are A or A plus, and you took 5 courses, the total grade point you will get is 5 times what? 5 times 5 times 4. 5 times 4 because you got 4 units. 5 times 4 times 5 classes or courses that you take, right? That's the total grade point that you get. But then after that, you divide it, right? So sum of all the course grade points you get, the units that you have taken, divide by the sum of the units that you have. That's your average for that year. So if you have a GPA of 5, it means you are getting A's everywhere. You get a GPA of 4.5, you are A's and sometimes A plus, B's and all that, so average. But you know what? Don't be so grade conscious and chase the 5. Do it if you can. You won't die if you cannot. And most people do very well anyway. Why? They do very well is because of your experience that you gain, not so much what your transcript just said. Right? The experience you gain is what people want to hear. Most people will just have a cursory look at your transcript. Okay? So, however, we will monitor you. If you are falling below 2, we will call you. And if you're really doing very badly, we will call you up and ask, is there an issue that we can help you with? And this is where we will want to make sure we catch you before you fall. All right? This is how we do things in NUS. And also, lastly, I want to show you that now you're in your first year, there is such a thing called grade-free year. You will be given 32 units of SUable. So many of the courses that you take in your first year and so forth, you find that you take them and it's something, wow, maybe I have to take an arts course, but I've always been a science student. It's okay. Push yourself. Go out there and do this to see whether you can do it or not. But if you really didn't do that well, you have the option of putting what we call an SU. And it will not affect your grade point. Okay? So don't be fixated with your grades. So S, if you actually just get a D and you don't want the D to appear, you put an S there. You choose to elect an S. right? And therefore, you will not get it into your grade point average. However, if you fail it, there's nothing I can do. You fail it, you will just get a U. It's not going to still affect you that much. You just have to repeat it. However, you have to understand the SU is not for every course. Mostly those that are 1,000, you can SU. Or if they are 2,000 but they don't have a prerequisite, you can SU. Those that are 2,000 but has an earlier prerequisite, those you cannot SU. Okay? So, lastly, I just want to finish with this. I've told you many, many secrets today. There are many more secrets to tell you, but come and have cha with me lah. But we will communicate a lot of this to you, and sometimes you will do it through your emails in your student portal, or you will have Canvas. You will go to Canvas where you take down all your notes, your lectures, and everything. Like Prof. Chung say, don't delete them. Follow us. Now, university can be very overwhelming sometimes because so many things, right? But let me just say, we are here to see all of you through. We want you to be the next and the future leaders, not only for our country, for our nation, for our society. We want you to be the future leaders for mankind. We know you can because we accepted you, which means you already have what it takes. What we want to do is refine you from the rough gem that you are now to become the best you can be. So let me just end here and pass it to my Associate Dean to give you the even more nitty-gritty. But again, let me just finish by saying, welcome, welcome, welcome to science.
Okay, thanks, Phúc Tim. So, I think the previous two presenters have given you lots of secrets, right? What I'm going to say now, they're not really secrets, but lots of facts and lots of details. Actually, I'm not going to go into details because there's just too much to cover. But the next half an hour or so, I will try to give you an overview of how course registration works in NUS. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as what you got from your high schools, junior colleges, or whatnot. Because in those places, typically when you're enrolled into a course or into a faculty, the 4 or 5 courses or subjects that you take are immediately assigned to you. So there isn't much of a choice. Okay? But in NUS, there is a lot of flexibility, and every time you have to exercise that flexibility means you have to make decisions. And there is a decision system behind that eventually makes allocation to tell you whether what you want is what you got. Okay? So this is the course registration system which I'm going to talk about. Before I start, I'm sure all of you already know what the common curriculum in CHS comprises of. So the common curriculum comprises of 3 major types of courses that you have to take. One we call the common core course. The second category are what we call the integrated courses. And then the third one are the interdisciplinary courses. So the common core courses are these, 6 of them. 3 of which are mapped into the general education curriculum, or what we call the university level requirements. They are the digital literacy, data literacy, as well as the communities and engagement. The second group are the integrated courses, and there are 5 of them. So Asian Studies, Humanities, Social Sciences, these are integrated and offered by our partners at the FSS. And then science, we offer 2 courses in the integrated basket, and these are the scientific inquiry 1s and 2s. And finally, you take 2 interdisciplinary courses, usually in 2nd year onwards, all right? And these 2 courses can be chosen from a basket of courses offered by us, as well as our partners in FASS. You just need to do two of them. Now, so how are you going to be assigned these courses? So that's where the details and the explanation behind the decision criteria, decision process is going to be explained later on. But for some of these courses, there's actually no decision needed from you. Just like in your high school days, they are going to be allocated to you from day one. So these are what we call the pre-allocated courses, and I'll spend some time talking about them. So these are some of the pre-allocated courses. As you can see, the first three are the integrated courses, as I've mentioned. Then Scientific Enquiry 1 is also pre-allocated to you because in Scientific Enquiry 1, there is one and only one such course. Everybody takes them, regardless of whether you are a science or an arts major. Quantitative Reasoning with Data, GA 1000, fulfills the Common Core requirement of data literacy. DDK 1234 fulfills the Common Core requirement of design thinking. So these are all going to be pre-allocated to you. Now, the second last and the last rows are more applicable to FASS majors. For FOS majors, the Common Core requirement of writing and digital literacy will not be pre-allocated to you because there are actually choices for us. All right? For FOS majors, there is a small number of courses that you can decide which one you want to take to fulfill the writing and which one you want to take to fulfill digital literacy. So those will not be pre-allocated to you. So how does pre-allocation work? Now this table typically indicates when could the courses be pre-allocated to you in your first year. So for example, the first couple of integrated courses, as well as GA 1000 and DTK 1234, will be pre-allocated to you either in your first semester or the second semester of your first year. All right? The gateway course, which is that level 1000 introductory course in the intended primary major that you want to study, will also be pre-allocated to you, provided you let us know what your intended primary major is. I will talk a little bit more about that later on. There is a deadline by which you have to tell us. If you don't tell us before that deadline, then we will not be able to pre-allocate that gateway course to you. Again, the last two rows I will gloss over because these two are more for FASS majors. So how does pre-allocation work for those courses that will be pre-allocated to you? Basically, you will have two courses pre-allocated to you in each of these semesters, right? Semester 1 and semester 2. 2 out of the 4, I don't think there's a pointer. Is there a laser pointer here? Probably not. Is there? This one. Okay, thanks. Okay. So 2 out of these 4 courses, you will find them pre-allocated to you already before the semester starts. And then 2 plus 1, which is either DTK 1234 or GA 1000, will follow those 2. So therefore, in your very first semester, out of the typical 5 courses that you take, 3 of which have already been determined for you. All right? Of course, in your senior years, you have more choices to make, but in your first semester, you have choices, but not that many. This is the writing course that I was mentioning. For most FOS majors, this is the writing course that you will be reading to fulfill that writing requirement. All right? But because this is not a pre-allocated course, it means you can actually decide when you wish to read this. If you don't want to do this in semester 1, you can do this in semester 2, or you can do it in semester 1 of your second year as well. All right? There are certain reasons why some students will do it earlier, some want to do it later. Because this is a writing course that requires some level of competency in reading and writing, communicating in English. So some of you who may be required to take qualifying English tests all right, upon your admission to the university, may choose to defer reading this till later. All right? For the digital literacy, like I mentioned, there will be a basket of courses that fulfills that digital literacy requirement. So this will not be pre-allocated to you. You decide which one is the one that you want and go ahead to select them in CourseReg, which is something that I will explain to you how this is done. All right, something that you have to do at the beginning of every semester. Okay, gateway course. So this is really that 101, right? Whether is it Physics 101, Mathematics 101, Chemistry 101, Life Science 101, Data Science 101. This is really that gateway course that sets you on your way towards fulfilling the major requirement of 15 courses. It is also a sampler for some people who may not have decided whether this major is the one that I want or that major is the one that I want. These gateway courses are meant to give you that information as to whether this is the right one for you. If it is not right for a primary major, perhaps, like what Fook Tim mentioned, drop down to a second major or drop it down to a minor level. Okay, so all these are gateway courses that exposes you to a particular area to help you make up your mind. So the deadline is this. So this is what I mentioned earlier. You have to tell us what is your intended primary major before 21st July, 12 p.m. And if you do so, that intended primary major's gateway course will be pre-allocated to you together with those that I mentioned earlier. So you could potentially have up to 4 courses pre-allocated to you right from day one, all right, before you even start going into CourseReg. Now, if you have not decided by this time, you say, I'm still, in two mind, and or maybe you've missed the deadline or something, that's fine. Only that particular gateway course, you will then have to actively go in and try to secure a slot for that gateway course by yourself through the CourseReg process. Of course, there is a caveat subject to quota availability. Okay, so which is why if you declare or if you let us know what your intended primary major is beforehand, the chances of getting that gateway course is a lot higher. The only instance where you declared and you tell us and still we couldn't give it to you is in the situation where that gateway course is so overly subscribed in first semester, we say, sorry, we just can't accommodate anymore. We'll have to put you in semester 2 instead. Okay, but that happens rarely. Most of the time, if you can decide early, you let us know, you get that gateway course immediately on day one. Okay, so how does this process of letting us know work? All right, so this is encompassed in 2 what we call processes. One is called the academic plan declaration process. The other one is the academic plan application process. There's a slight difference between these 2 plans, all right, and these 2 processes. I'll explain to you what's the difference. So in what's going to happen next, from 19th July onwards, which is next week, all right, you will be able to make that declaration in CourseReg. All right, so from 19th July, people go into the system and make a declaration of their academic plan. And then through 3 rounds, each round lasting 2 days, students will go in to select the courses that they wish to take in addition to what has already been pre-allocated to them. All right, so you make those choices. At the end of, you notice that between round 1 and round 2, there is a gap. Between round 2 and round 3, there's a gap. Why is there a gap? Because the results of round 1s will be announced first. Students will then know, oh, I've been successful or I'm not successful. Let me go in again in round 2 and try again or try something else. So you need to have that time window for you to know whether you've been successful and then plan your next move. So different rounds, I'll explain later on what the significance of these different rounds are. All right, some things you can do in early rounds, some things you can't do. After you have secured the courses, most of the courses comes with lectures and tutorials or lectures and tutorials and labs, depending on what kind of course, right? So while there are lecture timetables, each course will probably have more than one tutorial time slots and more than one lab time slots. So it is during this process where after you have secured a slot in that particular course, you then go in and try to fill it up with which tutorial time slot or which lab time slot you would wish to be allocated to. All right, so this is the 2 rounds of selection for tutorial and lab time slots. And before semester actually gets into the full swing, there are 2 days where students who say, okay, this time slot is not really so nice for me. Let's see if I could swap it with somebody else who wants mine. I'll take that person's time slots and whatsoever. So there are 2 additional days for what we call swapping or adding something that you have not added on before. Okay, so 2 processes, right? Academic plan declaration and academic plan application. So what's the difference? Declaration is for you to declare your primary majors, second majors, minors, and so on. But the key point here is that other than the primary major, all other academic plans that you're declaring in this process has to be open declarations, means they must be open majors, open second majors, or open minors, where everybody is allowed to make that declaration. There's no need to apply for it. There are certain second majors, there are certain minors that is not open for everyone to declare. Certain very aptitude-based second majors or minors, for example, where the programs or the departments offering those would like to see whether you have that aptitude or you have done courses prior to that and have done well in them before they accept you into those what we call restricted, or sometimes we say closed second majors or minors. So in this process, you declare, once you declare, you're in. There's no approval process required. Once you're allowed to declare, you declare, you're in. You're good to go. Okay? And when does this happen? It happens at the beginning of every semester during the course registration period, which I've just shown you the timeline for. As opposed to declaration, the application process happens during the reading week of every semester. Why? Because this is in preparation for admission into these closed programs in the following semester. All right? So if you want to go or you want to apply into a restricted minor like the forensic science minor, which is extremely popular, you make that application with whatever courses you have done previously and whatever courses that you are doing now, and then the program directors will then have to decide whether to accept you into that closed minor or not. So the APA process happens during the semester, whereas the APD process happens at the beginning, before the semester starts. Okay, so process comes with many different stages, right? So the course registration process, you are now at this stage where nothing much has started yet. We will soon be going through this flow chart where at the end, all right, when you reach this end goal is when you have settled the kind of courses or the number and what type of courses you will be doing for that semester. So there are lots of things that happens in between, all right? So, for example, you start off submitting your academic plan declaration, which is something that I said you should start doing next week. Before you go into choosing what course, you need to know what are the degree requirements that you are heading towards. All right, the requirements, for this major, what are the courses that I need to pass? For that minor, what are the courses that I need to pass? So you need to know the degree requirements. Not only that, for the courses that you want to take, do they have any clashes in timetables? If these 2 courses that I hope to take this semester have a clash in their timetable, whether is it class timetable or exam timetable, then more often than not, you will not be able to take them in that semester concurrently because they clash. All right, so do a simulation of the timetables using NUS mods for the courses that you wish to take and see if there are any clashes. All right, and finally, go through the course registration exercise and see whether you have secured enough courses for that semester. If it's still ongoing and you have not gotten enough courses, you continue in your round 2, round 3 until you have gotten enough. Okay? So this is the flow chart. I think I've mentioned this. The APD process is done before the start of every semester, and you must have completed this before you start registering for courses. So if you do not complete your APD process, you will not be able to access CourseReg and the many wonders of CourseReg. Okay, so make sure you complete your APD process. Now, some students are always concerned, right? So you tell me there are so many different majors. I think I've made up my mind now, but what if I change my mind later on? That's perfectly fine. People do change their mind. People take time to decide. So the APD process that you go through this semester, at the beginning of this semester, you have to go through it again at the beginning of next semester. This is in the event that you've decided, no, I don't want to be a data science major, I want to be a quantitative finance major. Then you redeclare yourself as a QF major at the beginning of semester 2. So this changing back and forth can happen, and maybe should happen for a lot of people who are still shopping around. But typically, our advice to students is that by the time you start your second year, first semester or second semester, you should have settled into your primary major, the intended primary major that you want. Okay, so even though there is a flexibility of redeclaration, you really shouldn't be changing your mind too late. Why? Because every primary major have their own specific set of major requirements that needs to be fulfilled. Can you imagine if today you are primary major, life science, next semester chemistry, then after that you say I want physics, then after that you want QF, you will never be able to complete the major requirements that is needed for you to graduate. Okay? So take your time, but don't take too long. Of course, once you have made that declaration, you are not allowed to declare or change it during the middle of the semester. It serves no purpose. Okay? You are a math major, you declare it at the beginning, go through that, you decide whether you want to do it or change it at the beginning of next semester, but in the middle of the semester, nobody changes their major plan declarations. How to do that? Okay, you do that via these locations. Go to your EduReg homepage, academics, and go through this academic plan declaration. There is a step-by-step guide provided by RO. Please make sure you are familiar with this guide. This is how you can simulate your timetable. This is an example of someone who is intending to do these courses. All right, so once you've selected these courses in NUS Mods, this is simulation. Doesn't mean that you select these in NUS Mods and say, oh, that means I'm done already. This is what I will be doing. No, this is just for you to try out, to see whether there's any timetable clash, or whether, oh, I have a free Wednesday, so I can go and work part-time. Okay, it's possible. So simulate your timetable and see how it works out, right? Early day, late days, and so on. Okay, now, I mentioned about timetable planning. So generally speaking, faculty does not approve of students reading courses that have timetable clash, whether in is it lesson clash or exam timetable clashes. Okay? Because we want you to have the full experience of taking these two courses, not take two courses but can only attend one course lecture because the other one's happening concurrently and I can't go. Get your money's worth. Take 5 courses, go for all the lectures, all the tutorials, all the labs and everything. All right? So most of the time, we will not approve any appeals to do courses that has timetable clashes. And remember, even though 2 courses, their lecture timetable does not clash, but be very careful to check what are the tutorial or the lab timetables offered for each of these modules as well. Now for year 1 courses, you usually won't run into this problem because year 1 courses are big enrollment ones. Big enrollment ones means for tutorial time slots and lab time slots, there's usually a big variety, many choices for you. Surely you'll be able to find one that doesn't clash or fits into your timetable. However, at higher levels, you need to be a bit more careful because if the lecture time slots for course A and course B do not clash, but course A has only one tutorial class, and that tutorial time slot actually clashes with the lecture time slot of course B. So lecture-wise, they don't clash. But because course A has only one tutorial class, and that timing clashes with the lecture timing of course B, then you can't do course A and course B together as well. Okay, so when you read higher level courses where the number of tutorials or lab classes is not as many, sometimes only have 1 or 2, you need to be very mindful of clashes, because if you are registered for a course, you must be registered in all components of the course, and you must make sure that no clashes happens there as well. Okay, so how many courses am I allowed to take every semester? Now, NUS wants you to start easy, start slow, get used to the rigors. A lot of you are, fresh from national service, I can see. So, I haven't touched a book for 2 years, right? Yes, I went through that, been there, done that, so I know. So, don't rush. Policy-wise, in your first... How come I keep pressing this? Okay, policy-wise, in your first year, first semester, everybody has only 23 units capped to register for. So, like what was mentioned by Prof. Chiu, 20 units is typically 5 courses, because each course typically 4 units. Okay? As you move on, what is the maximum workload that you are allowed to register in every semester depends on how well you are performing up to then. So if your GPA is telling us that you are a very good student, can handle, can do more, we allow you to register up to 32 units, but not from the first round of course registration, because we've got to give others a chance too. Right? Even if you are allowed to do 32 units, we don't want you to go in and chop 8 courses straight away. In the later rounds, you'll be able to do more. All right? Select more. If your GPA is indicating that you may be facing some, coping issues, or maybe you want to do a little bit easy, you don't want to go through too much, you can choose up to 26 units. But there is also a minimum. Other than a student who is in the final graduating semester, because sometimes a student overloads, right? Can you imagine if a student starts doing 32 units, semester 1, semester 2, semester 3, semester 4, by the time he or she reaches the final semester, maybe I just need to do 8 units, because that's all I need to graduate. There's no need for me to push myself. I have other things to do. I want to attend interviews. I want to apply for jobs. So in the graduating semester, it is possible to drop below 18 units. Only in the graduating semester. All other semesters, you cannot, unless you are given approval to underload. So underloading requires approval. Okay? Okay. So things to note, you will not be selecting too many courses, as I mentioned, in your year 1, especially in your first semester, because a lot of the courses are going to be pre-allocated to you. But you would still need to know how to go about choosing your tutorial and your lab time slots. Okay, so these are the timelines I think I mentioned already. You need to declare your major by 24th July to have that gateway course pre-allocated to you, and CourseReg starts officially on 26th July, I think. So this is to declare 1 day before CourseReg starts. Okay, now let me go into the nitty-gritty details of how CourseReg works. So let's imagine we are now at this stage. You've gone through all this already. you are now ready to go. Time for CourseReg. When you log into CourseReg, this is the first landing page that you will see. On the left side, there is a menu. Okay? And what those menus lead you to, what does it do for you, are explained here. I will not go through every single one. The one that is most useful and the one that you will be doing first will be select courses, because that is when you actively tell CourseReg what courses you want. Okay? At the end of every round, once the allocation is completed, you can click on here to view my classes. Means you'll be able to see what courses you have been successfully allocated before the next round starts. Okay, so these two are most important. Now at the bottom there is this appeals. That's also important because not everybody will always get what they want in life, in general. Okay, so we always want to appeal, right? Appeal. Right, so this one, important. I'll talk about appeals later, but please don't over-appeal because there's actually a human being looking at your appeals. Okay? We do not operate using AI bots. Human beings have to read through your appeal, so it makes no difference whether you appeal once or you appeal 10 times in the same way. In fact, the human being will be more annoyed if you appeal 10 times, same thing, right? So you don't want to annoy the human being who's looking at the appeals. Agreed? Good. Okay, so 3 rounds, as I mentioned. Round 1, round 2, round 3. What's the difference? Round 1 is what we call protected round. Protected round means you must, in this round, be only choosing courses that fulfills program, second major, restricted, unrestricted minors, and so on and so forth. So these are really what we call the must-haves. Right? Now, to different people, the same course may not be a must-have for different people. Okay? So therefore, sometimes you ask, how come my friend can select this course in round 1, but I can't? Well, the reason is because that course is a must-have for your friend, but it's not a must-have for you. When can you select them? You can select them in round 2 or round 3. Okay, so round 1 is really what we call protected rounds, where whatever precious quota there is for a particular course is protected for those students who must have that course. But must have doesn't also mean will have. Depends on quota also. All right, if you cannot get it this time, you try to get it the next time, even though it's a must-have. The actual availability of courses will differ in different rounds because sometimes departments also inject more quota later on. Okay, so we protect some quota, but we also want to make sure that some students can also access that course as an elective or a UE, so quota can be injected later on for later rounds. Step-by-step guides. So these are all resources that I point you towards. So please go through those guides to make sure how to use CourseReg. If I ever forget anything, go and refer. Okay? All right. So what is CourseReg? CourseReg is what we call a priority allocation system. The system allocates a place in a course based on priorities amongst those students who have indicated that they want to take that course. Now, priorities is a combination of several factors. So with your profile, everyone who wants to take that course or indicates I want to take that course there will be a computed priority score. Now, what is this priority score and how is it computed? I can't tell you how is it computed. That's trade secret. But I can tell you what is considered. 3 things. First, you are reading that course for what? So just now I said the must-have and the good-to-have and the can-have or don't-have kind of thing, right? So are you reading it for your primary major requirement or are you reading it as an elective? So that is very important in determining who gets priority. The second important thing is students' seniority. So that is also taken into consideration, comparing a year 1 to a year 4 student. Year 4 student, not much time left. Year 4, if don't get this time, maybe no chance already. So system gives them some priority. Year 1, can't get it this time, try again next year. Okay, so third thing is, of course, ranking. So your ranking reflects your priority towards those courses. Something that you put as rank 1 means you want to have it the most. All right? Something that you put in rank 2 means I hope I can get this, but it's not as important as the one that I put in rank 1. So as you go into the system, you not only select the courses, you rank them as well. So the system will therefore, based on what you are, the profile, your profile, as well as your ranking, come up with a priority score for you in determining whether you get or do not get allocated that module for that semester. And this priority score is ranked or compared across everybody else that have chosen that course. So what are some of the program requirements? And this is in order of priority. So a student who is reading, choosing to read that course as a major essential course will have a higher priority compared to somebody who is reading it as a second major course. Makes sense, right? Because primary major is bread and butter. You cannot graduate without a primary major, you know. You can graduate without a secondary major. That's possible, but everybody must have at least a primary major. So therefore, students who are reading a course as a primary major requirement has to be given priority. So this is the ranking of program requirements from top to bottom. Seniority, of course, from year 4 to year 1, and ranking, of course, from choosing a course as rank 1 compared to choosing a course at rank 6. Okay? Now, in the event that the priority score computed based on those 3 components happens to be the same between 2 students vying for only one last slot in the course, then a tiebreaker will have to be called up. Don't need to be worried. They will not call you up exactly physically. You do not need to meet the person that you are fighting over this last course with. And then scissors, paper, stone. No. It's done in the system. So what does the tiebreaker do? What the tiebreaker considers? The tiebreaker considers many things. For example, whether you have already achieved minimum workload. If you have already achieved minimum workload and you are trying to get this as your 7th or your 8th course, then the other poor chap has only 4 courses, haven't even meet minimum requirement yet, then obviously, if the priority score is the same, then give to that guy lah. Okay, give chance. All right. So there are certain tiebreakers that are considered in the event that the priority score turns out to be the same, and when demand exceeds quota. Now, so this is the interactive part. Interactive means you're supposed to do something and think about something rather than just listening to what I'm saying. In this situation, suppose there's only 1 vacancy left for this chemistry course. Who do you think is going to be allocated that chemistry course? Sam or Jen? This is a chemistry course. Sam is a math major but has a second major in chemistry and really needs this. Jen is a chemistry major, and this is a compulsory chemistry major requirement, so naturally, Jen gets it. If there's only 1 vacancy left, there's no doubt about it. If not, Jen cannot graduate, no? Okay, everybody wants Jen to graduate, right? Okay. So, this is what gave Jen that priority. This is higher than this. All right? Everything else being the same. Okay? What about scenario 2? Ariel and Belle. Who is more likely to be allocated in this course? So this is a psychology course. You see, everything else being the same means they are both year 2s, so seniority, no difference. Both of them choose this course as their first ranked, so again, no difference. Only difference is that Ariel is a life science major, Belle, social work major. Both are doing this module, course to fulfill a second major in psychology requirement. So in this case, it will be Belle. because this goes into a tiebreaker situation where the priority score based on their profiles and ranking is exactly the same. But what breaks the tie in this case is because this psychology course is offered in FASS, and Bell's home faculty is FASS, whereas Ariel's home faculty is FOS. So this is really how fine we split the hairs, if it comes down to that. Okay, but let me assure you that the university reviews the quota, the demand, the supply every semester. At the end of every CourseReg exercise, the faculties always receives a report from the university and say that, hey, the courses that you offered this sem, which one super high demand, which one no demand? Can you please do something about those super high demand ones? Maybe put them in a bigger LT, offer another similar course. It's very, very popular. And those very low demand ones, I can go and find out why nobody wants to take this course. Maybe the lecturer, need to do some work in terms of making the class more interesting and so on. And we will monitor these things. Okay? So do not be worried. Most of the time, the courses that you want, usually you'll be able to get them. You may not be able to get them from round 0 or round 1. You'll be able to get them in later rounds. Okay, so let me assure you of that. Okay, so this is just a tiebreaker explanation. This is a third scenario, also hypothetical, of course. You see, in this case, these two students are exactly the same in terms of their profile in reading this life science course. They are both not life science majors. One is a physics major, the math major. Both of them just reading this as unrestricted elective course. In this case, what's going to happen? This one is really scissors, paper, stone already. Because all tiebreakers are matched, they will be allocated via randomization. So why is it that I say either, both, or neither? Either means one vacancy left, these two is the one of them lucky enough to get it. Both means maybe 2 vacancies left, but there are 3 other students where the third one maybe is a year 3 student, so that one immediately kicked out already. All right? So these 2 gets ahead in that queue, so both ends up getting it. Neither means, there are many students of such profiles, and then by throw of the dice, both of them not lucky enough to get it, so too bad lah. All right? So this randomization can really mean either, both, or neither of them eventually getting the course. Okay, so like I said, when you go into the select course, this is some important information that tells you how many vacancies are there available for you in this round, and how many students have already selected the course in this round. So comparing these numbers will give you a sense of the popularity of that course. Okay? So make sure you check those numbers out. Now, for each ranked choice, you are allowed to choose some reserve classes that tells the system, in the event that I'm not successful for this, what I'm also agreeable to take. So if I'm not successful in being allocated for that, my first rank, what are some of the backups that please allocate to me? Now, this is not compulsory. You do not need to add reserve classes, because you may be of the thinking that if I'm not successful for my first rank, I want to reconsider my position before I decide in the next round whether I want to choose something else. As opposed to sometimes students that say, if I can't get this, just give me the other one, I'm fine with it too. Okay? So it is possible that you do not choose any reserve classes, all right, at any rounds of CourseReg. You just want to wait. Wait for outcome, then strategize again, re-strategize, and go for the next round again without adding in any reserve classes. Okay, so those are course registration. Like I mentioned, you need to be registered for a course first successfully before you go into registering for tutorials. Now, tutorial registration, there are also several rounds. So you select round 1, choose the time slots that you like, successful or not successful, go into round 2, successful or not, still not successful, try again in the add, drop, swap round. Okay, so there are several rounds, and these are not priority based. These are all entirely randomized, meaning that if that tutorial time slot has 25 slots, 24 students select that, all will get it. 28 people select that, randomly select 25 out of the 28 to get that time slot. No priorities, no first come, first serve, no chopping and things like that. All right? How to select tutorials? Obviously, as mentioned, you must first be registered for the lecture, for that course, before you can go into the tutorial registration system. So, as mentioned, in each of those 2 rounds, you rank the classes, which one is the time slot that you want the most, all the way down to up to 20 different time slots, if there is. If the demand does not exceed supply, all gets it. If the demand exceeds, then there'll just be a random balloting done by the system. All right, so anyone who is not successful in that first choice, first rank, will drop into the second choice time slot. Okay, so after round 2, there will be the add drop round, the swap round, where the time slots that you got, perhaps at that time you say, this is not really fitting of my timetable, let me try to swap it with something else. So you can go into CourseReg to see if somebody else has put up something for swapping, and then if both of you agree, you will swap and the system will perform that swap for you. You take that person's time slot and that person takes your time slot. At the end of the entire process, if you still cannot get anything, please submit an appeal. All right. If a tutorial group is cancelled, because if a particular time slot has only 2 students registered for it, that time slot is likely to be cancelled, and you will be contacted and say, we are now going to allocate you to somewhere, another time slot. All right. So this is something that could possibly happen. And this is where you go in to check at the end of every round to see what are the courses that you have successfully been enrolled in. So you can see over here that these are the course timetables of the courses, the classes that the student has been registered, enrolled in for a particular course. All right, can be lecture, lab, tutorials, and then the same thing for another course. So you go into here after the allocation is done for a particular round to see if you have been successful. Okay, so people change their mind, right? After being successful, they attend a few weeks of classes and then realize, I can't stand this, okay? It's not really what I thought it was. I want to drop this course. I already registered for 6 courses, dropping it down to 5 courses is still fine. Yes, you can do that. As long as after dropping it, the remaining units still fulfill the minimum workload requirement, which is 18 units, remember? Okay? So once a course is dropped, all the associated classes, lecture, tutorial, labs will be dropped for you. However, please be careful. Students have fallen into this trap before. They drop a tutorial or lab class. We just say, this tutorial lab class really too rushed for me already. I need to rush from there to here for this tutorial class. I can't, I'm always late, I'm going to drop it. And the student thought that by dropping that tutorial class means I'm dropping the course altogether. Doesn't work this way, right? If you drop a tutorial class, it just means that you don't have a tutorial to go to. But officially, you are still registered for that course. So do not think that by dropping a tutorial class or a lab class, you are dropped from the course altogether. So when the student realizes it too late, then that student gets into the trouble of dropping a course too late and eventually getting a W grade or worse, an F grade. I'll talk a bit about that. Yeah, so dropping courses can have consequences. If you drop it early enough, you will get a W grade or you won't show up at all. If you drop it too late, you will get an F grade reflected in your transcript, and nobody likes to have an F grade reflected in your transcript, right? Okay, so what are the timelines? For this coming semester, you can start dropping a course from the 28th of August with a W grade reflected. In this case, this W grade cannot be changed into a S or U grade. You cannot write, oh, W, I want to SU it. There's nothing for you to SU. You will just refer as W as withdrawn. It will not affect the calculation of your GPA. This can be done up by yourself up to at CourseReg. Just to make sure, just make sure that you don't drop below 18 units. That's all. If you drop below 18 units, the system will not allow you to drop, even in the W period. But once you cross 2nd of October, 0-100 hours onwards, this is what is going to happen. You cannot drop it without being reminded that if you want, I also want to drop, you are going to get an F grade reflected in your transcript, which cannot be exercised SU option. And this is going to affect your GPA. So do not do this without consulting your faculty. Okay? So I would advise all of you to write to the faculty for assistance if you have crossed into this period and you still want to drop a course. Appeals, yes, everybody has to appeal at some point. Do it through CourseReg. Please do not emails directly to a person. Submit through CourseReg so it will be tracked. We know the status of that appeal. We can attend to those appeals quickly. Make sure you select the correct appeal type. What are you appealing for? And do not submit duplicate appeals. Okay, so these are some of the appeal types that you will see in CourseReg. For example, you want to waive the maximum workload. You want to tell this faculty, say, I can do a lot more. I can do more than 32 units. I want to appeal so that I can be granted access to bid for my 9th course. That will be routed to us, and we will look at your academic progress and the abilities and see whether we will approve that. So select the correct appeal type for what you are trying to tell us. Now, depending on what is the appeal type, you'll be routed to slightly different administrators who are looking into those. All right, there are the respective start and end times. Okay? So remember, appeal once and let us do our job. Don't annoy us. Okay? Don't submit duplicate appeals. All right. Likewise, if you can't get the tutorial time slots, you want to appeal, you want to say, oh, I really need to have that, please go through CourseReg as well. All right, go through CourseReg as well. And try to find somebody to swap with you if something that you have now really doesn't fit. See somebody else is able to swap that. If by the end of the CourseReg period you have a lecture, you have a course registered, but you don't have a tutorial, sometimes students will just be randomly allocated a tutorial time slot. Okay? So try not to get yourself in this situation. All right, last few slides, information and assistance. So these are all the helplines, emails, all right, that it is not an appeal. It's just that you're not sure about something, you want to get a quick clarification. You can call or you can email us, and then we can provide you a quick answer. Do not email these email addresses for appeals. Remember, all course registration related appeals, do it through CourseReg, not through emails. All right? These are our locations. Okay, so of course we are at Faculty of Science. We are on level 8 of S16. And these are the phone lines. All right, office hours only. Okay, don't call us at 12 midnight. Nobody's going to pick it up. Anybody picks it up, put it down quickly. Okay, 12 midnight. Nobody's supposed to pick up. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll hand the time back to the MCs.
Thank you, Prof. Chu and Dr. Ng. We will now open the floor to questions. So you can submit your questions via the QR code on the POEV website, or you can use the standing mics at the outskirts. Prof. So Chong Hao will be moderating the session.
Okay, so I think Prof. Chung, Prof. Chu, and Dr. Ng has already given you very detailed descriptions of the life ahead and things to do. So, and I think we believe that over time you'll learn how to manage your time and energy, and also go through all the CourseReg. So at this time, if you have any burning questions, so we'll invite you to step to front to the mic and ask questions related to anything on student life or the CourseReg, and then our prof will answer you. Or if you're very shy, okay, we have a poll everywhere, poll E. You can just scan the QR code and then post your questions there. Okay, so we'll wait for a few minutes to see whether there are any questions. Yeah. You can just scan the QR code and then type your questions, then I will invite the professors to answer your questions. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I can invite Kalun. So first question we have, CCHP modules.
Hi, yeah, so for the first question, I think you're referring to the Common Core Healthcare Program or the Common Core Curriculum for the healthcare program for farm students. My belief is that yes, they will be pre-allocated to you pretty much like the core curriculum courses for the FOS students. Okay? Second question, I don't see tutorial time slot for certain modules in NUS mods. Does that mean that the module has no tutorial or lab? Well, two possible reasons. One is indeed, all right, certain courses may not have tutorials or labs scheduled. It may be integrated into lectures themselves. But most of the time, I would believe that they should be reflected. If you do not see them reflected, please email the department to get a clarification for which particular course you are referring to. Okay? E-learning recorded or live lecture. Okay, so this one can be different forms. All right, so different, if a course is listed as an e-learning course, then different lecturers or different course coordinators may choose to run them differently. So it could be live, but at the same time webcasted. So it could be a hybrid, where you could be physically sitting in the LT, whereas your classmate may be accessing that same live webcast in a different location. Or it could be a recorded one, pre-recorded videos that are uploaded for you to access them on time, on target. So it's possible. So it can vary. If the e-learning lecture of one module clashes with a physical lecture of another, no. So if it's e-learning, unless it is tagged as no lecture, that means everything on time, on target. All right. As long as there is a time slot associated for that class, meaning that, well, it could be e-learning, but it could be done in a hybrid manner, meaning that you may not necessarily be physically in the LT, but you need to be accessing or viewing the lecture somewhere else during that protected time slot, then you are not allowed to register for another course that has a physical lecture during the same time slot. It's still treated as timetable clash. How does module mapping work for SEP? Do we have to use our UEs? Yes, everything that you do typically on SEPs are either mapping into UEs if they're not related to your majors. But if they're related to your majors, then of course somebody in the department will look at the contents of those overseas SEP modules and see whether this is mappable to a particular major requirement in your major. Did you all, I just do everything. Okay.
I think it's all your questions.
May I ask if it's true that NUS lectures are expected to end? Okay, this one, every faculty member here has a responsibility to answer this question because all of us teach. Yes, we have been advised to, but as you can tell, right, sometimes when we are too excited about our lectures, we tend to run over time. Okay, so my advice is try not to schedule back-to-backs if you can. If you have to schedule back-to-backs, make sure that it is not on two ends of the campus. Okay, so advice, priority ranking. try not to have back-to-backs. If you have back-to-backs, try to put them in the same vicinity. Okay? Of course, to answer this question, I know where this is coming from, which is we are supposed to stop early. But this doesn't stop students from staying back after class. If you have some burning questions, say, you just explain something to me and it's so interesting, but I just couldn't get around why this is so. I really want to ask this question. Then you have to stay back. Even if the lecturer finishes 30 minutes early, you know, you may still want to stay back. So if possible, try not to schedule back-to-backs, if you can.
Professor Cheng Susan, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Does the grade fee scheme also apply to pharmacy? Yes, the grade fee scheme applies to everybody. There is a grade fee scheme. So as long as courses that can be SU will apply to everybody, regardless whether you're science or pharm science. I would like to ask, why are XTP students in RCs allocated? Okay, so there are a student in this situation are what we call dual identity, right? Because not only do you have a program requirement arising from your XDP program, you also have a RC program requirement because a residential college is an academic unit that offers courses as well. So sometimes it is necessary for such students to really do a bit more right from day one. If not, they will have trouble fulfilling the requirements of the subsequent courses. Because we have this prerequisite system. In order to do this course, you may have to read something else first, pass it before you read something else. So in trying to navigate through these prerequisites, sometimes it may be necessary that there are certain things that needs to be done from semester one, and therefore some students are allowed officially to violate that 23 units capacity. But this is done in consultation and in consideration with the university, and it's prior approved. All right? If you're not in this kind of situation, then we all keep to the 23 MCs, 23 units. Well, depends on how many you are pre-allocated. If you are pre-allocated up to the limit and you have no other space, you 23 MCs all filled up, 23 units all filled up, then there's no need for you to do CourseReg. But you should still go in and familiarize yourself with the environment. Just to go and see, click here, click there. Because from semester 2 onwards, very likely you have to start assessing CourseReg.
Yeah, may still have to choose tutorial slot or whatever.
Exactly, exactly. Right. Okay, I think this question is a bit too technical. Okay, I won't want to go into details because it may not apply to everyone. So we will take note of this, all right? And if you really want to know, you can write to us. One-to-one consultation with Prof. Chu. Okay? Due NUS, so yes. When we SU our modules, courses, now not module anymore, I know, the seniors all tell module, courses. Are their credit units still counted? Yes, if it is a S grade and not a U grade. S grade, you get the units. U grades, you don't get the units. It's really pass-fail. It just means pass-fail, okay? The due one,
this one can remove. This one can remove, okay.
Will they let us know the pre-allocated courses to us on? Yes, of course. You will know what courses you have been pre-allocated before CourseReg actually starts. If not, it's not fair, what? Right? I don't tell you what I'm pre-allocating to you. I ask you to go and choose whatever then, right? So surely before CourseReg starts, you will know what is pre-allocated to you. For pre-allocated courses, only the lectures pre-allocated and we select tutorials. That's correct, right? So courses are pre-allocated to you, meaning that you see what the lectures timetables are, and most of the time, these courses have different or multiples tutorial classes, multiple lab classes, then that one you will assess and choose during the tutorial registration rounds. Do we get to select lecture slots for pre-allocated courses? If there are more than one lecture groups for pre-allocated course. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it applies.
Okay, my experience with engineering is that it's also pre-allocated.
Yeah,
to
so the lecture
so you
group
can't
also be
swap
pre-allocated.
different group. Yeah.
So if the course that you're pre-allocated has different lecture groups, Monday, Thursday one group, Tuesday, Friday one group, you will be pre-allocated to which group you have to attend. Okay? Can we take gateway course in SEM 2 by choice? Yes. Yes, of course. Can we take the QET English test in November if we miss this one? That I cannot say for sure. You probably need to write to CELC, right, and ask them, if you have missed this, can you take the QET? Because there are specific days in which this test is being conducted. So I'm quite sure if you have missed it and you are the only one, then they probably may not, set a new test for you just for one person. NUSC students, we are not pre-allocated the common core.
No, you do your own. You have your own set of courses to take.
Yeah, depending on which ones. Like some NUSC students also do some of the FOS common core, so those will be pre-allocated to you. Shopping with friends, do we have to do it online or word of mouth? Online. CourseReg. The swap process, remember the swap process? Because it has to be official.
Yeah.
Huh? What if somebody backs out? Or you are scammed?
And also in tutorials, there may be continuous assessment, so you'll be awarded marks for your effort. Yeah. So if you're not officially registered, then all your effort will not be recognized. Yeah.
Can I have a minor as well as specialization? Yes, as long as you can fit those into your UE space, that's fine. What is the fee schedule? What is the tuition grant process? Wow, this is very technical. I will not go into details on this, but if you want, please come and see me. I can direct you to the Office of Admissions or Office of Finance.
Yeah, OAM or Office of Finance website should have the details. Yeah.
Scientific Inquiry 1, can I take SP? Yes, you can. Right, so if you are admitted into the special program in science, then SP 2271 can take that. If I have done MA 1301 professional, no. If you have passed the proficiency test, you are given the status of having H2 mathematics, so you will not need to register or pre-allocate 1301 again. Are we allowed to take 2 majors and a minor? Yes, again, as long as you fit those into your UE space, you don't suffer from mental exhaustion, you can do that.
But like what Prof. Chu said, right? Take your time. Don't rush into, okay, right from day one, I want to do 2 major and 1 minor. No, just go for all those gateway modules and see. Yeah.
Is the Life Science Gateway pre-allocated because the website advises for life science students? TK.
Thank you.
Yes, I think life science should not be any different from any other majors. If you have indicated that your intended primary major is life science, then the Life Science Gateway module will be pre-allocated to you. What are the considerations about home faculty and accepting undergraduate and okay, so considerations I already mentioned just now. So sometimes the department owning those minors or second majors that are restricted will look at what you have done so far, okay? What are the courses related that you've done so far and your performance in those before considering whether to accept you or not. Okay, so it's very much aptitude-based. And if it is successful, the academic plan will be assigned to you in the system. You do not need to apply anymore. Once you're successful, you will see the academic plan reflected in your CourseReg or in your EduReg the next time you log in at the beginning of the next semester when you officially are in the plan. How many LLP modules, LPP modules do you have to take? What is LPP? Oh.
Language prep. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyone knows?
There is no requirement for SCP in terms of language preparation. Again, there is No requirement. Of course, if you want, you're going to France, you want to make sure you speak some French, you don't know how to buy a baguette or something. Please go and do that, but there's no requirement, okay, for SCP application. Yeah, unless, of course, you are talking about the French double degree. Now, you have to apply into the French double degree, and it will be then made sure that you are prepared. The language preparation is part of the program. Okay?
Okay, next question on Science Club. Yeah.
Okay, one question on student life. So if you are going for the Science Club orientation, which is SOW, end of July, actually you can't go for the freshman sci-fi because we want to make sure as many students can go for orientation as possible. So, but anyways, you do not need to attend a camp if you want to join Science Club. It's good for you to attend so that you will know all the Science Club members and then you know how it works over there. But if you did not sign up or you weren't able to be allocated, you can still contact Science Club under their webpage and stuff like that. Or if you want us, we can redirect you to the president of Science Club. Okay?
In the events that so many.
No, we're trying to see whether, okay, so we anticipated this. We know that you have a lot of questions. So what we'll do is, let's say we'll try to stop in 5 minutes time. The rest of the question which is not answered, don't worry, because we'll convert it into FAQ kind of thing, and then we'll put it onto the portal, then you can still accept. But like I say, you'll be here for a long time, so you have chance, many opportunities to continue to find the answer. This afternoon, you're going to meet with the department as well, okay?
Yeah, so under the science website, there is a student life tab. If you go under there, there's clubs and societies. All the societies are there, and their web pages can be linked from there. So you can contact the relevant presidents or vice presidents from there. But if you really cannot get the contact, you can email us, okay? Thanks.
Okay, maybe we answer 2 more, then we'll wrap this up. So, okay, yeah. So if not, then once we go back to this, okay.
In the event I decide to declare DSA as my primary, my pre-allocated courses will be if my ID is odd, but I'm in UTCP, so I'll be required. Yeah, okay, so in this case, your UTCP administrator or yourself can write to us, all right, and request for one of the courses to be dropped, okay? So we have done this before, not to worry, all right? Most of the time, in view that you need to do one UTCP course, then one of the core curriculum courses, instead of the 3, the 2 HS and the 1 DTK, we'll drop one for you, okay? But this one has to be you informing us and to let us know that's the situation.
Okay, maybe final one, then we wrap it up. Yeah, okay.
If I'm doing life sciences with management double major, can I eventually make it as a double degree?
So the life science major and a management second major, the second major does, however, is the special one that you really does not get you to upgrade it into a BBA, right? So for this one specifically, you will probably end up with a double major only. Unless, of course, you have been already pre-admitted into a double degree program. And only for this one, because they don't count the management major second as a build-up, all right? So this one is special.
Okay, so with that, let's join me in thanking Dr. Kalun, then Prof. Chiu, and then Prof. Cheng for this session.